In the Holy of Holies, you have one item, and that is the Ark of the Covenant. And you have some other items in the Ark, but you have the Ark, which represents the glory of God, the presence of God, right there in the Holy of Holies. As I thought about this, I really felt like what this represented in the place of prayer is stillness, quietness. Waiting is not our nature in the 21st century. We want things quick and we want things now. Otherwise, we don't have the time to wait for it. See, Moses went up the mountain and God took some time with Moses. And I'm going to read you a few verses in a moment about Moses' encounter at the top of the mountain. God delayed, but Moses waited. When God delayed, you know what the children of Israel did? They built an idol. That's exactly what we tend to do. When God delays, we just move to the next thing. Oh yeah, God, show up. Or when God delays, we try to make things happen in our own strength, and we end up giving birth to an Ishmael. And if you don't know what that means, there is Isaac, the promised child, and there's Ishmael, the other child that was the child of the flesh, which was done in Abraham's own strength, not God's way. Now, when we look at Moses and how he encountered God at the top of the mountain, I'm going to read that in a few moments in Exodus 24. It gives us a picture of what happens in the place of waiting on God. Oftentimes, if you're meeting someone for the first time and you don't know them that well, there is the pressure to make conversation. To talk. So I think sometimes our many-worded prayers could be a cover-up for our lack of real depth and intimacy. There's nothing wrong with, releasing our prayers in words. We're called to do that. I've been teaching on that. However, there's other dimensions of prayer we don't tend to enter into, and I believe you can find that in this place of being still and knowing that He is God. There is a knowing that only comes from the place of stillness. Now let's read from Exodus 24. Exodus 24, verse 16. Now the glory of the Lord rested on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. And on the 7th day, He called out to Moses from the cloud. The sight of the glory of the Lord was like a consuming fire on the top of the mountain in the sight of the children of Israel. So Moses went in the midst of the cloud and went up into the mountain, and Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. This is an incredible passage because here you read about Moses' encounter with God. And the Bible says Moses spoke to the Lord face to face as a man speaks to his friend. Moses was walking in a realm of relationship with God that was just incredible. Most believers today, if not all believers, would want to walk with God in this kind of way, where we're having this face-to-face relationship with God. Well, we have to consider some of the things that Moses had to go through to get to the place of actually the glory of God descending and him having face-to-face encounter with God. Because here he was in the cloud for 40 days. I mean, that's just crazy. Look at what it says in verse 16 of Exodus 24. It says, now the glory of the Lord rested on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. And on the 7th day, God called out to Moses from the midst of the cloud. So, you got to make this practical. Imagine this. Moses went up the mountain because God told him to go up the mountain. Moses got there, and there's some verses prior to this where God has said, you get on the mountain, wait for me. Moses got there, and he was sat there waiting on the Lord, not for 2 hours, not for 3 hours, not for 7 hours, not for 24 hours, but for 6 days. But Moses had to go through the 6 days of waiting in order to step into the 7th day of glory. Because on the 7th day, God said, Moses, come. Now, it's like, why did it have to take God 7 days to actually just speak those words? I tell you why. Because in those 6 days, the waiting was preparing Moses for the voice and the calling. God could not call Moses to come on the first day because God had to do something in Moses for him to be able to enter a realm where he could encounter God for 40 days and 40 nights. No food, no water. I mean, that's intense. So the waiting on God, the stillness, was doing something in Moses' body and Moses' being, even though he heard nothing. Oftentimes when you come to the place of prayer, even waiting on God, you feel nothing is happening. It's like, God, I know you're real, but nothing's going on right now. No, that's what your mind thinks. But I'm telling you, in the realm of the Spirit, there's a lot more going on than you realize. Now, you cannot effectively step into this place of waiting on God if you have not been through the outer court, where you've cast all your cares on God, where you've let go of all the worries and the anxieties. You've been through the inner court, where you've been seeking Him, you've been worshiping, you've been in the Word, you've been interceding, you've been going after His face. You cannot effectively wait on God if you've not been through that process. Listen, I've tried to come into a place of waiting on God while there's still worries on my mind. Well, I can't really wait on God effectively because my mind is so bombarded by anxiety. So I have to be in a place of letting go of those things, go back to the outer God and let go of my cares, cast my cares, ask, let go, step into the inner court, worship, seek His face, let my heart be conditioned to press into His presence. And then I can step into a place of choosing to be still and waiting in His presence. I'm just going to read to you some verses in Isaiah 30. Listen to what it says. Isaiah 30 verse 15. It says, "For thus says the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and rest you shall be saved. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength. But you would not. You said, no, we will flee on horses. Therefore you shall flee. And we will ride on swift horses. Therefore those who pursue you shall be swift." Now, God is talking about His people that He's inviting to wait, but they say, no, we're not going to wait. And they choose to ride on their horses. That basically represents our busyness, our activities, our own strength. We just ride on all our stuff, and God's like, no, just come and wait on me. Like, well, God, I don't see the point of waiting on you. I don't feel like anything is being achieved. And God is like, actually, strength is being renewed, sensitivity is being restored, your soul is being restored, clarity is going to be restored to your mind as you wait. And you're like, oh, I just want to get on with all this stuff. And God is like, no, just wait. Now look at what it says in verse 18. "Therefore the Lord will wait, that He may be gracious to you, and therefore He will be exalted, that He may have mercy on you. For the Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are those who wait for Him." This is exactly what Moses went through. The Lord waited that He may be gracious to Moses, because Moses could not just walk into that realm in the presence of God without him waiting and the Lord making him wait. And the Lord had to make him wait because the Lord was wanting to be gracious to Moses and revealing things to Moses. But Moses had to go through the process of waiting. So here he's saying, the Lord will wait that He may be gracious. In other words, the Lord wants to be gracious to us. The Lord wants to reveal His presence in a whole new way in our lives. The Lord wants to reveal His glory in our lives in a whole new way. But oftentimes He's not able to release that yet because we're not ready. So He's waiting for you to wait. That's why He says, blessed are those who wait for Him. He's waiting for you to wait on Him. He's almost holding back because He wants you to be prepared to handle what He wants to release. He's not going to entrust us with the weightiness of His glory in the measure He desires if He can see that it's going to destroy us. Out of His love for us, He doesn't want to destroy us, because I'm telling you, the glory of God released upon a people that are not ready to handle the weight of it will be destroyed by the glory itself. The same glory that brings deliverance and healing and salvation also brings judgment. And you know what? The glory also brings persecution. So oftentimes the Lord wants to prepare us for what is coming. So I want to encourage you, create some space in your prayer rhythm for waiting.